I was born in Baltimore, Maryland, right down the street in West Baltimore, so I'm very familiar with this area up here in D.C. I was born in 1968, of course, and I went to Walbrook High School as my graduation high school, and I played basketball for the Walbrook Scarlets. So that's kind of my, early years. And then I went on into the Army from there, 20 years in the U.S. Army. I retired. And then I wound up here in NHTSA. Isn't that wonderful? I was a police officer in the Army, and so it was a kind of a transition coming to NHTSA with the idea that, I would use all of my experience as a police officer for the military for those 22 years, but it was slightly different, and there was some learning curves and some serious challenges along the way to get me up to speed. And so I thank God for the leadership that I had along the way that kind of pushed me along. And so now I can tell you that I've had 2 states. I've had Iowa as a program manager, and now I have Arkansas. And I can tell you that doing the program work and managing states and doing the oversight of their program is very rewarding. I really love working for my organization. I'm excited about what direction that we're headed in, and I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged from the leadership all the way down that it's going to only get better. We're going to continue to save lives on the roadways. We're going to continue to come up with countermeasures that work for our states to use, and so I'm glad to be a part of that from a regional program manager perspective. My role is important. I understand it. I try to fulfill it, and I try to get into any area that I can that I could be of help to the agency. So it's been a rewarding experience for 10 years. I'm a sports guy, so I'm all day sports all the time. So I'm a Baltimore Orioles fan, and I'm amazingly, I'm not so much of a Ravens fan, even though I'm from Baltimore. I'm more of a Colts fan because, I'm going to tell you a little story. It's only going to take 30 seconds. I used to go to the Colts games when I was a little kid, and they were in Baltimore at the time. And when Robert Irsay decided that he was going to pack that team up and move, I knew, me and my dad knew, and I was at that rail yard when that team packed up and got ready to leave. And I can tell you, I cried boo-hoo tears when that train took off and all that equipment was loaded and the players were gone. And that's a moment that I'll never forget because that was my team. And so I followed them for a while in Indianapolis until I got tired. Now I'm saying, forget it. They're not coming back. I'm just going to go with the Ravens. But that's pretty much what I do, and I also ride a motorcycle. That's my other fun. My favorite word is sacrifice, because I think throughout my years in the military, it's always been about sacrifice, doing things that don't necessarily benefit me, but is a greater help or greater cause for other people or our country specifically. Fear. Because when I was in the military, I had to jump out of airplanes. In basic training, I went to basic training, then I went to jump school. When I went into the airplane, it was time for me to jump out, and the jump master opened up the door and the green light went off, and I did not want to jump. I was afraid. But you know what he did? He said, you're going to go out of this plane. And he says, you're going to be successful, and you're going to make 5 more jumps after that. And I jumped out of that plane. And when I jumped out of that plane, all of my fear went away. I'd be a sports analyst. I'd be on ESPN. And, I've always just had a dream of being on ESPN and just talking about, how each team is doing and performing, and break down the analytics of the game and just get into the nuts and bolts of what the players need to do and, all of that type of stuff. I would never be that guy that cleans that window, the skyscraper that goes up to clean the windows. Not because of the heights, it's because they have to stand on that thing for hours scraping those windows. And they're up there in the clouds, some of those buildings, and I'm like, wow, I don't know how to do it. Well, I would like them to think that I was a contributor. That guy, he really contributed something to the overall program, you know, and was really a good team player in everything that he did. You know, he always thought team first, you know, because I don't look for the individual achievements, although I've had my share even through my 10 years with NHTSA. I've always been more concerned about how do we work together as an office, as a unit, as an organization. How do I fit into that piece? And so that's what I would most want people to know, that, hey, whenever we needed anything from Dean, he was around. You know, now maybe we didn't need all what he had to offer, but he was there to help. So that's what I would say with my biggest thing that I want them to say.